Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of my channel. Today we're shooting at this awesome location. It's Burbank Sports Cards. I'm sure you haven't seen the back here a lot. This is their fulfillment center. I'm really thankful that Rob and Ryan are letting us shoot here. So shout out to Burbank Sports Cards. Go check them out. They have a new store opening up on June 1st here in Burbank Store. But if you're ever in town, make sure to check it out. So yeah, today I have the opportunity to do a quick interview with Nick, my friend that I met here, doing sports card collecting. But as the hobby is growing, he has a personal experience where, like he's also seen some of the rise of bad guys in the industry, and I felt like it was very important time right now for everyone to know of these growth and terrible people in the industry who are just out there trying to steal money from people, right? And that's just very unfortunate, but it's happening, and everyone should know about it. So let's welcome Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hannah, nice to see you again.
Yeah, for sure. For people who may not know you, and I'll definitely leave your Instagram account below. If you want to just give a quick intro of who you are, who are your PCs, how long have you been collecting, etc.
Right. Yeah, so my name is Nick. My Instagram is Manolo's Vault. PC wise, it's Kobe for sure. He's pretty much the only guy where any one of his cards is more than just a card to me. In terms of collecting, I've only been collecting for a few months. I probably started in November. Before that, I was just joining on breaks and doing that, ripping. And it got to a point where
Fun gamble.
yeah, the gambling became too much. It's not really, it's a fun thing to do. It's extremely addicting, but in terms of investment, it's definitely not the right play. So for me, I pivoted to singles, started doing a bunch of that. Immediately, I kind of put money into the right players. Kobe, Jordan, LeBron was pretty much the three guys I put a lot of money into before the season started. We all know what happened with the market soon after. It kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
So I did well, and now I'm just kind of branching out into like a lot of other sports. The hobby is definitely fun. It's growing super fast. Met a lot of really dope people, a lot of good people that are really willing to kind of like help you out, give you advice. But with any emerging market, it also attracts the wrong people too. The people that look to take advantage of you, or for lack of knowledge or whatever it may be. And so yeah, we're gonna speak about that situation too, right?
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So I know this story because I was just really shocked when you told me. But for our viewers who may not be familiar,
Right.
if you can give just the context of where you were, when did this happen, and what was the actual card at hand that was being,
Right,
the
right.
cost of being exchanged?
Right.
So you
So
can walk through that.
yeah. So it's a bit of a long story just because there's a lot of build up to it. It happened in Dallas at the famous Dallas show, right? My first time going, I asked tons of people kind of before I went, like, oh, yo, what do I expect?
Yeah.
Like, what should I do? They're just like, just try to enjoy it. I was like, okay. Thursday night, before the show even starts, just the setup, even the setup alone was by far the biggest
Yeah.
show I've ever been to, by far. And so that already was just like, I could have left Thursday night and been like, oh, that was really
amazing.
fun. Yeah. So I guess my plan for the show was to come out with something that like I really liked. For me, eye appeal is pretty big. Just cards that catch my eye and then kind of like have some value to it in terms of like the rarity and stuff like that. Those are kind of the cards that I gravitate towards. So that first night I actually ran into this guy. I remember looking at his showcase thinking like, whoa, like this is a lot of high-end rare stuff. It wasn't like the typical high-end stuff like the Topps Chrome LeBron or Big Lucas. It was more like rare 90s type of stuff, PMGs, Star Rubies, and so I was definitely taken back when I first saw it, and then I remember like we kind of spoke a little bit, and I remember that was kind of like the one car where I was like, yeah, you know what, like I'm gonna try to see if I can grab this by the end of the show.
The PMG.
Not the PMG. It was it actually was something that he didn't keep in his showcase. So there's the first hint. Yeah, he had a lot of really crazy stuff in the showcase. which there was a parallel, Kobe parallel that I was interested in.
Okay.
And so what I did was like, we exchanged Instagrams.
Okay.
The first day, I looked at his page and I was like, whoa, like you have this too? I didn't see this. So Friday I went back and I was like, hey, do you have these? And he was just like, yeah, I'm just not displaying them because I didn't want to sell them.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay.
Why'd you bring it to the show if you're not
well,
going to sell it?
a lot of people
Anyways.
say that. It's a funny thing, at shows. Like, why do you bring it if you don't plan on selling
Yeah.
it? But he definitely planned on selling it. He had a number on it. I told him, I was like, that's pretty high. I could do it if you would take back some trade. He looked at some of the stuff I had, and for people that know, my biggest card is probably that Kobe LeBron Dual Auto. That was the one that he wanted. And so in terms of value-wise, we were on the same page. He kind of valued it around what I did. And the rest I was going to make up in cash. It was probably like a 50, 55K deal. And it was for a first-year Kobe Star Rubies out of 50. Huge card, really
was it
hard card.
graded?
It was graded by
was it rated?
BGS. It was 8.5.
Okay.
And so that was Friday.
Uh-huh.
I just got the number and I was like, okay, like I'm not really sure if I want to do this yet. I kind of had to do my own homework behind the card and
Exactly,
everything. Eye appeal wise, it was stunning, like incredible looking card. The one thing he wouldn't let me do though when I was looking at it was take a video or a picture of it. He said immediately, he's like, I was like, do you mind if I take a picture?
Yeah.
He's like, no, like, people do weird stuff. And I was like,
No,
thinking to
well, that
myself,
happens
like,
all the time.
yeah, I mean, to me, it didn't really throw me off because
Yeah.
it's, it's the owner's card. Like, they kind of have the decision to do what they want with
Sure,
it,
yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, like, I understand why. I was kind of trying to figure out, like, well, why exactly wouldn't you want a picture taken?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like, you're well within your right to say
Sure,
that.
Yeah.
So what I did was I went kind of back to the room, started looking up, like, Star Ruby sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had seen that a Jordan sold in January for like 70K on PWCC.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what, value-wise, he's pretty accurate in terms of what he's asking. The interesting thing is that there was another Star Rubies on auction while we were in Dallas.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to look at this to see
Yeah.
kind of what it's ending at. That night, it was pulled off of PWCC, right? Come to find out afterwards, that card was also a fake copy, and PWCC pulled it from the auction. I didn't find out until afterwards,
After.
right?
Oh my
And
God,
so
yeah.
I was like, okay, well, now I can't really understand whether 50K is a good value or not. It makes
Yeah.
sense, but I just don't know whether I'm overpaying, underpaying, whatever. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for the card. Saturday, I was just like, hey, like, would you do, this card, 10K on top?
Yeah.
Can we wrap this up? He was like, I want 15. I was like, I can't really go higher than 10. This is a big card for me. It's pretty much my best card. I really
Yeah.
don't want to include it in this trade, but if you want it, I'll do it, whatever. So we ended up agreeing. And so I told him, I was like, well, let me go get the cash from my room. And walked back. And as I was walking back, I saw a couple buddies.
Yeah.
Dennis is one of them. I know you know
buddies, yeah.
Dennis. Coleman, another one. And I was just kind of telling him, I was like, hey, like, I kind of verbally agreed to something here. Like, let me know your thoughts. And so immediately he asked me, he was like, who has that card? And I was like, it's this guy, like, in the back, curly hair. He's like, is it Alex? I'm like, his name was Alex, I think.
yeah.
That's what he said. He was just like, oh, man, that's a red flag. I was like, okay. He's like, I just need to see. He's like, I'm not going to say it's fake,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I need to see the back of the card.
That's what Dennis said.
No, that's what Coleman
Coleman
said.
said. Okay.
Dennis was also like, Dennis has had his experience with him as well, so he was just like, hey, like, you just have to be a little bit careful, is what what they were saying. So he was like, let me see the back of the card. I was like, okay. Here's the thing: is the card was graded, and it had like one of those like stickers on it, where it's like the back of it has like the silver, the gold certification. So you couldn't actually see the back because it was covered by that certificate. And so he was just like, huh, that's interesting. So it was graded. By the way, I looked at the serial number and everything. It was
all in the system.
all in the system, and so it looked as legit as it could get through,
Human
doing
eyes,
through doing your homework on it. But immediately I kind of told him, I was like, look, I just need to see the back of the card.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, no problem. Like, you can take it. I went, looked at it, and then Dennis had said, he's like, why don't we go to there's another showcase that had the same set, but for Rodman and Tim Duncan Star Rubies.
Okay.
You know, so it's like we can kind of compare.
At least, yeah.
So we walked over. You know, I forget the guy's name. This guy was extremely helpful too. He's, you know, got a huge collection. His Instagram is like Great143, GR8 143.
Okay.
He's got some massive cards. Anyways, he owned the cards. He allowed me to he was talking me through it. Just said, you know, why don't we just walk over there and, you know, I'll take the cards, compare them. He's like, because that serial number looks a little bit big, you know, but you know, you can't say for sure. It's better to see it in person, right? And I was telling him, I was like, hey man, like at this point now, there's like 7-8 people with us now. That's like kind of involved in this whole thing, because it's a pretty big deal for me, especially. It's like they kind of wanted to make sure like I was good.
Yeah.
I had the cash, I had the money, so I walked over because I told him, I was like, I want it to be real. Trust me, like I'm a little bit hurt now that, you know, it could be fake, because I came to Dallas and it's been 3 days now. Trust me, this is on Saturday now, not on Friday. This is Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Day 3.
and here I am like thinking like, oh man, this is a shot. This is gonna be fake.
Yeah.
So we walked over there, 8 people deep, and the showcases were gone. The guy was gone. He wasn't there no more.
Wait.
Yeah.
You wanted to compare the cards.
Right.
So you go back to his table.
So we walked over to the table, and this is probably maybe 10 minutes after I told him I was going to go get the cash. I went and grabbed it, talked to Coleman and Dennis.
Yeah.
And we walked over to, you know, my guy's table, looked at the Star Rubies, looked at the video, tried to compare them. We were like, huh, that looks a little bit funny, but let's go check in person.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to accuse people here unless, like, because again, like if you have a real card, just exactly. So, you know, we was like, all right, let's just all walk over there then. Walked over to the back of the venue, and he had 3 showcases. They were all gone. And we asked the people, like the guys he was setting up to, like, well, where did he go? He was like, he just left in a hurry. And I was like, and everyone just kind of looked around. It was just like, whoa, like it's definitely fake. And so, you know, that was the big moment right there, was when you knew like, oh man, like, you know, not only did I kind of like get saved almost, because I could have easily just done the deal there.
Right.
You know,
especially you wanted the card.
Yeah. And
so,
made up your mind. Right. But I did have that thought, which is to like, I got to bounce this off somebody first. I rarely make deals of that like size. Or those numbers unless I bounce it off a few people first. And so they kind of tipped me off a little bit. And then one thing led to the other, and then we walked over there with the real Star Rubies, and he wasn't there anymore. He was gone. Just everything.
What was your first immediate reaction? Like, oh crap, it's fake.
Yeah, that was the first realization, was that the card was fake. I was like, wow, like he was really just gonna take the money and my dual auto. And just get out of town, you know, like just take off.
He just made $50K off us.
Right, and the next thing was like, why don't you DM him now? So I went back and I was blocked. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was just one of those things where like everyone thought like, oh Nick, you got to be like happy that you got away, and I honestly felt the opposite. I was like, you know what, man, like I put in a bunch of emotional investment into this deal. You know, something that you have to think about, whether something might be like really undervalued, that's a really good card, you know, that's a red flag right there. To me, I think the best way you cover yourself is if you have people that you can depend on that know a lot more than you do, that you can kind of confide in, right? Because you know, without guys like, you know, the guy that owned the Star Rubies, Coleman, Dennis, you know, specifically, I might have done that deal, yeah. I know somebody else that did also buy a fake. I wasn't the only one. Like, he actually pulled the trigger on it.
From the same seller.
Yeah, right. And so,
it's out there, and like, to be honest, I don't think just because it's on PWCC or ProSign means that it's legit.
It's like, not. I mean, I think there's been several occasions now where PWCC has posted up several fakes. It's not, they're not the only, you know, company, but it's, again, like, the card is authenticated with Beckett.
So how can you, like, be sure of that?
Yeah. Right. So I, again, like me being new to the hobby, I thought, well, like, oh, if it's authenticated, I don't really have anything to worry about, you know? Like, it's one thing to buy a raw card. You're always at risk of buying a fake. When it's authenticated too,
How much
that's
more can I get it authenticated right then?
yeah, exactly. So
Insane.
so
So I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I guess moral of the story is make good friends.
make good
know-
friends, make good friends. Yeah, I mean
Who
it's
know the cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
I owe a lot to those guys because again, like it's not. It's I mean I would have had nothing.
Yeah.
Like I would have been stuck with a fake, and I wouldn't have. I know I wouldn't have been able to get it back or whatever.
Yeah,
because
for
those
sure.
kind of guys that do that kind of stuff
They're
are just
gone.
they're gone in the
Gone.
wind, you know. But yeah, I mean it's definitely these kind of issues are popping up quite a lot. I
It
see
is.
them on Instagram. There's a page that's kind of dedicated to it.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, with breaking even that as well, I've heard is an issue. You know, people they pull a big card, they put it to the side, and or they send a different card, and
Exactly.
you know, just
Yeah.
a lot of suspect movements. Yeah, moral of the story, man. You got to bounce deals like that. I mean, with there's obviously a lot of people that are legit.
Yeah,
I mean,
good
you look on their Instagram, they have references, all of that. So it's really not something you have to worry major. But when you run into somebody that like you don't really know, you've never really seen, you go to their Instagram, you've never seen them, you're like, okay, you have to ask around a little bit. Yeah, and so.
For sure. Oh my gosh. Well, Nick, thanks so much for sharing the story. And
Yeah,
I mean,
of
I
course.
think the takeaway for everyone who's kind of like new to it, like, and I consider myself new to the hobby too,
Yeah.
is we have to do like double, triple checks on these things and like get feedback from people around us that we trust. Because just because it's in a slab doesn't mean it's real.
The word is definitely out there is the thing.
Yeah,
Like he's this wasn't the one like the one incident. No, like I mean he's been on like forums, like people have spoken about him.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is it's the collectors that have been around for a while that know.
Exactly.
If you've
The
only been in
newbies,
this for like a
right.
year less, you probably
Don't
have no
know.
clue who he
Exactly.
is. And so
Cool.
yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, Nick. I really
Yeah, of course.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can see you more at shows and
Yeah, I'll be
Burbank
there.
too. But
Yeah.
all right, thanks everyone. Make sure to check out Burbank Sports Cards. Make sure to check out Nick's Instagram. He has a dope collection, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
That's it.